Hello, world, and welcome to Not Your Average Boss. Today, we have a great topic, a topic that is going to challenge us, a topic that's going to make us think. It's going to make us, be retrospective and kind of reflect on our maybe work history and our work relationships and how we, treat people at our workplace and in life in general. But the topic of this podcast episode and topic of discussion today is stop hating and do the work. Yes, stop hating and do the work. So, you know, it's one of those things where, and this is one of the topics where it cuts because it's easy to be negative. It's easy to look at people in a negative light, even though we don't know them. We hear about them through the grapevine, through gossip, and through some of the things we may see or may perceive from them when it comes to how they move and how they behave and their maneuvers and things they've done. And it's easy to pass judgment. It's easy to look at people a certain way and judge them without even knowing them, and judge them based off of just hearsay and what you heard, and you don't really know for yourself, or they never done anything to you personally, but since you've heard through the grapevine they're this type of person, you don't like them because of that, because of somebody you like or somebody and you're cool with says something about them, be like, oh, for real, they like that, for real. And sometimes it is true, when you hear about certain things, and sometimes it isn't. So, but it's up to us to filter that out. It's up to us to understand and look at that in a neutral situation when it comes to it. And that goes for not just personal, it goes for professional life as well. But, this is a conversation and topic that came about when I was talking to one of my friends, good friends, about, just work and how work was going and things like that. And, we're dealing with some issues when it came to, their superiors and things. And, it's one of those things where you expect people at a certain level to act a certain way and operate a certain way, especially in leadership. And even when it's an organization where you think that they're supposed to have better morals and better values and things like that based upon what they represent. And, this particular situation, the supervisor was pretty much talking bad about them. And, of course, there's two sides to every story and things like that. But I know this person, they're really hard worker. They've done a lot of great things. And, they're one of those people who, they look to excel. They look to, do the best they can. If they're doing something wrong, they want to know right away. That they're that type of person. So, for their boss to come at them and try to undermine them and try to put things in other people's ears to mess with them was definitely, discouraging to hear. It was frustrating to hear, and it made me upset to hear, because of course I'm, going to be in my buddy's corner. It goes back to, this is who I know. I don't know the supervisor and things like that. I don't know their side of the story and things like that. But, I do, value what my friend said and really took it to heart. Like, man, why is it like that? Why is it to where it's so easy to be, negative and look at somebody and talk about them and, spread gossip, spread rumors, or, spread negativity when it comes to that particular person you may not like, or they may have done something you don't like, or doing something a certain way. Why can't we just go to that person and talk to them, especially in leadership? Why can we not go through the chain of the command and talk to the person we have an issue with, especially when it comes to, employees having issues with managers, and, they go above them to talk to, their bosses and things like that. And of course, if you have an issue with your manager and you don't feel, safe, or the manager is doing things wrong to you, of course you want to know if they're not listening, or, you don't feel safe going to them about the situation. Of course, you have HR, of course you have their manager, and go above and beyond the chain of command to get your voice heard, especially when, you're in a abusive situation. We're going to talk about that a little bit later when it comes to work relationships and healthy work relationships. And, when it comes to, the manager employee, and, if your employee or if your manager is talking to you crazy, or, you're going to do what I say because I'm the manager, I'm your supervisor, you got to do what I say, and this and that, and trying to flex on you when it comes to their, rank and try to flex on you when it comes to their position, and not really respect and building that rapport, and respecting you as a human first, and understanding your needs and things like that, and what you expect and expectations, then that's a problem. And that is something that we need to address in the workforce, and upper management needs to know about, because you shouldn't lead like that. That's not a good way to lead when it comes to it. You can still be authoritative and get your point across, and hey, this is how it is, be direct. But when it comes to abusing your power, that's a problem. But the conversation, it really didn't sit well with me, because I've seen it being a leader. I've seen it firsthand, when it comes to negativity and people trying to stab you in the back and try to undermine you or run you over with the bus just because they don't like how you do something, or because you're doing well or you're excelling, and it's putting pressure on them to step up their game and do better. And they don't like that. Negative people really don't like positive people, because they push them to get out their comfort zone, and they don't like that. You're making us do more work. Why are you trying to do above and beyond? Why are you trying to, I'm saying, why you take your job so seriously? Well, I mean, I take it seriously because, one, I believe God gave me this position. And for two, I'm expected to hold a certain standard based upon, my bosses, my peers, the client, upper management. They expect me to be a certain way when it comes to this. So of course I have to hold the standard, and we have to, develop that and cultivate that within the organization. Of course we want, we want to do that type of stuff. So it may be challenging, and it may be something to where it pushes you the wrong way or pushes your buttons, because it's, putting that pressure on you to grow, and it doesn't feel good. Nobody likes to be uncomfortable. You don't like to be in uncomfortable situations. It's easy to, want to get out of that type of situation if you're feeling uncomfortable. I mean, even if it's a challenging situation, as far as like they're trying to, push you to grow because they see your potential, it could be uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't like that, or be in that, don't like to be in that position when it comes to it. But that's what's going to help us grow. That challenge is going to help us grow. And, good leaders, great leaders, they see that in their employees. They see the potential they have. So, of course, they're going to try to push them a certain way, especially if the employee voice this is how they want to be, and they want to move up, and they want to be in management, they want to be in leadership. It's going to take a certain level of discipline, a certain level of perseverance, a certain level of tenacity and hardness to do that, But yeah, it just didn't sit well with me because, I've seen it, firsthand. People just don't like you because, what they've heard about you. And sometimes it is a situation where it's personal accountability, and you've done something wrong to somebody, and you did, you need to go back and, make it right, clear the air, apologize if you need to, and it may be a situation where you indirectly did something to somebody and that you don't even know, but it's good to come to that person you have an issue with, especially if you're on a team and, you're in a department, because that toxicity, that negativity it's cancerous. It can spread like wildfire. Negativity spreads quicker than positivity, and it spreads like wildfire. Positivity can spread, but it takes a little bit longer because we're naturally inclined to be negative. That's just in our nature. And we're going to talk about this a little bit, because being negative is something that could be detrimental to not only our mental health, but it can be detrimental to our physical health in the long run as well. And I'm not saying it's like a kumbaya situation. It's like, oh man, I got to just, nothing affects me. Everybody's great. No, it's not like that. We do have differences. We do, have the free will, God-given free will to be how we want to be. We do have a right to be miserable if that's what we want to be. We have a right to not like people. We have a right to be miserable if we want to, but it's not really conducive to, our overall health. If that's what I'm saying, we're trying to do better at, it's not conducive to be negative. I was thinking, like, what if, the majority of the time we look at the positives of situations instead of the negative? What would the outcome be, not only in the workforce, but in life, in society, in our culture in general, in the world in general, And like I said, there's righteous indignation. There's anger that is definitely warranted, and there's things that happen that we like, injustices and equality, and hating on people just to hate on them, because they're different and things like that. Of course, we want to look at that and speak against that type of stuff and stand up, against that type of stuff, because we really are all equal. You see what I'm saying? We're all human beings. We're all part of the human race, which is one race. We all bleed red, unless you're a Martian, which It's probably green if you're a Martian, but no. But seriously, we're all human, so we all bleed red. We're all the same, far as that aspect. We look different. You know what I'm saying? We sound different. We have different drives and aspirations and dreams and goals. We're different, yes. But to hate on somebody just because they're different is asinine and crazy. But that's what we deal with, in our world, in our country, in our world. We deal with people hating on you just to hate you, and that's wrong. But you have a right to do that. But like I said, you're lessening your opportunities in life. You're lessening, even you're impacting your health and things like that. And there's some things that we can't help but be negative in certain aspects because of a mental condition we deal with, the physical condition we deal with. So I'm not talking about the things like that. I'm not talking about the mental illnesses and things like that, because those are real situations that we need treatment for and we need help for, and we need the proper therapy for when it comes to those type of issues. But what I'm talking about is, issues that we can control, that are in our control, and how we deal with it. When you get gossip, you can either perpetuate that or send that out, spread that out, or it can stop with you and be like, you know what, I don't really know the person, so I can't say I like him or dislike him. I don't know him. You see what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, they may look like a oh yeah, they look like a douchebag or whatever the case is. Like, I don't know how that works, but what I'm saying, this person, I don't really trust you. And some people are a good judge of character. I kind of think I'm a good judge of character. So that kind of comes into play too. You got discernment when when people have good intentions or bad intentions and things like that. That's good to have. Not saying you don't need discernment to, know who is really for you and who's really against you, and know who you really need to trust with certain things and let in your inner circle. I'm not saying let everybody into your inner circle. My inner circle is very, very small. I could probably count on 10 fingers. My inner circle, probably a little bit more than that because my family's big, but my inner circle outside of my family is really small because I don't really trust a whole lot of people. You could be cordial, you could be friendly, without really allowing people into your inner circle, because you don't know if they're really for you, and you don't know if you even need to have them in your life, because your trajectory and what you're trying to accomplish is different. So, you don't know if you could trust everybody in certain situations. So that's kind of how, you have to look at certain things. But I'm not talking about the mental illnesses that you need therapy and medication and stuff like that to help you manage that and cope with that on a daily basis, a weekly basis, monthly basis. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the things we can control. We get to control gossip. We can control talking about people. And even when we have a negative interaction with someone and they did, step on our toes, we have the ability. Yeah, you need people to vent to, have people to vent to. You need that. But go to that person that you have an issue with and then talk about it. In my team meetings, I let my teams vent because, it helps when it comes to situations that's negative. And a lot of times you'll find out as a leader, you're on the same page with them as far as you don't really agree with certain things that's going on. And I'm vocal about the stuff that I didn't agree with when it came to my department and things like that, my organization, and how I thought that things should run. You know what I'm saying? And it may have fell on deaf ears, but I still voiced it. I still advocated for my people, and I still stood in the gap when it came to trying to get certain things done and really speaking out against certain things and, standing, behind my people. I was always an advocate. That's one thing they can say when it comes to me. As a leader, I always advocated for my people, even though it kind of got me in hot water sometimes, and people were kind of like, yo, chill. I'm saying, you're going hard, but I always went hard for my people. And sometimes they saw it, sometimes they didn't. Even behind the scenes, I was going hard and trying to get things, to move on their behalf. But sometimes it didn't pan out, but they didn't see it, and a lot of times, they didn't see the sacrifices and the struggles and the, long conversations and the one-on-ones and the heated discussions that we had on their behalf. They don't see that. They just see this sucks. This is negative. This is a change that we got to implement again. And everybody's to blame for it. They don't see that you actually try to go to bat for them. So it happens. I mean, it's a part of management. You got to have thick skin to be a leader. And, you can't expect everyone to like you. That's just not real. You know what I'm saying? So have thick skin, understand that not everybody's going to like you. Not everyone's going to be in your corner. And, there's going to be people who are going to be against you and want to see you fail, But how you overcome that is you smile because you know what's good. You've heard through the grapevine. They act like you can't hear them talking about you. You know what I'm saying? When they're saying it loud or, or you're not acknowledging it. I've heard every negative thing about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm either in person or through the grapevine. So, it's one of those things where, it sucks. It hurts, because you don't know that people feel this way about you until you hear it through the grapevine. It's better to hear it through them. But a lot of times you hear it through the grapevine and you have to deal with it in that way. and you have to smile at them, knowing that they got a knife ready to stab you in the back when you turn around, and you just got to keep it moving because you're in a position to where you have to treat everyone equal, and you have to, try to set everyone up for success, no matter if you have an issue with them or not. I've had people gone behind my back and went to my manager and say, he sucks and things like that. I'm like, yo, what I'm saying? But that was their perspective. And maybe I was, not the greatest at that moment. You have to have real situations and self-awareness to understand if you're in a position or you're in a season that you're struggling or you're not as on fire or you're not as focused or sharp as you used to be when you first came out the gate. Because when you first come out the gate, it's new, it's fresh, and you're on point. Like I had a team that was number one for almost 2 years in my department, and not everybody was happy about that, as far as my colleagues and things like that, or in the organization. They should have, been, we was on the same team. I would have been happy if they had that situation. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't, competition in that I want to be better than you all the time or anything like that. It's, friendly competition is good. It can be healthy, but when it's competition to where, man, I got to do anything I can to beat you and stuff like that, that's where the issue comes into play. Have fun with it. Yes, friendly competition can, prove, to, boost numbers and productivity, and people can have fun with that. People like competition. And they do want to be the best. I'm not saying, people don't want to be the best or something, but do the work. Stop hating, do the work. That's what's going to get you there. The hate's not going to get you there. No manager wants to hear you cry about hating on somebody. You see what I'm saying? Because they know if you're talking about somebody behind their back and you haven't gone to them about the issue, they're going to look at you and be like, you're going to do the same thing to me. And how could I really trust you around the client or trust you with different responsibilities if I know you're going to be talking negative? Because you may be talking negative about the department as well. So, and to the wrong person. And then it's going to come back and it's going to, put us in a different light, and it can mess up our money along the line and mess up profit and things like that, and mess up our obligations to this client and things like that. So they're not going to really trust you with that, but negativity is very contagious and it hits everybody. Like I've been negative, that's why this conversation is not like me trying to put myself on a pedestal saying I've never been negative. I deal with stuff that's personal that, I have to shake off negativity, even though as a manager, I dealt with a lot of negative situations personally that I had to shake off and I had to overcome to function. Like a lot of times, I have crippling anxiety that I deal with, and I don't really share this often because, I just don't like talking about it. But, a lot of people wouldn't know that, I'm saying? Like the majority, if not most or everyone, didn't really know unless I talked to them about it, that I had crippling anxiety that I was dealing with every day as a leader, as a manager. I'm saying? I didn't show it. People were like, man, you're so comfortable and speaking to us. And, you don't seem like you deal with anxiety or nothing like that. I could tell you do have to, you are kind of comfortable being a people person. I could tell that you're not all the way a people person because you got to work hard at it. But you don't seem like you're comfortable. You're comfortable talking with big crowds. You're comfortable with speaking around, higher upper management and the client. You're comfortable with training. You're comfortable with doing this. I'm like, I'm shaking in my boots every time I have to do it. It's by the grace of God that I was able to go out there every day and, with the confidence that I had and the strength that I had and the courage I had and to function in my position at a high level, but every day I was dealing with crippling anxiety. Every day I was dealing with panic attacks and have to, excuse myself, or in situations where I don't have to, I couldn't excuse myself, start sweating and having those issues and have to count on my head or kind of, pinch my leg or, twiddle my thumbs, just tap my feet or wiggle my toes or breathe. And, there's certain things you do to help you when it comes to panic attacks if you don't know. There's things you could do to help with that. But sometimes people notice like, man, you sweating and things. You all right? You good? You stuttering? You okay? But, I was dealing with panic attacks and I couldn't fly. When you deal with that type of situation, it's flight or, anxiety is fight or flight. And a lot of times your body goes into that mode, a fight mode or a flight mode. But either way, it heightens your senses, it heightens your that sense of, man, I have to do something. Can't think of the word right now, but there's like what's the word? I'm looking for a certain word to say, but it heightens that. You're pumped up. You got that adrenaline. Thank you. Came to me. That adrenaline rush. It pumps you up. When you have that fight or flight situation happening. So you're ready to you're on edge with that. But I had to deal with that, but I had to push through that and overcome that, you know. And a lot of times I was dealing with that, but nobody knew because I had to be strong and I had to show up and had to do the standard because that was what was expected of me. You see what I'm saying? So we have to overcome these type of situations, man, to uphold the standard. And I was in positions where I was talking to upper management and they looked at me highly, and I was one of the top leaders at the site and things like that. I was in good with upper management because they saw that I really cared about the vision. They saw I was sold out. They saw that my team was sold out. They saw my team was excelling and doing great things. And it was really just because I cared about my team. We had a come to Jesus moment when it came to me pushing them too hard. And once I backed off and actually started to, cater to their personalities better, they start flourishing more, So yeah, I mean, you have to be real with your people because it's ultimately a team effort. I'm in charge, but I'm leading from the front. I'm not leading from the top of the mountain screaming out orders. No, I'm in the trenches with you, pulling that heavy cart behind us, which is the mission, which is the expectation, which is the standard that we're trying to uphold. I'm with you on this. You see what I'm saying? So stop hating, man. Just do it. Do the work. If you see somebody that you know is doing better than you and they're excelling and you're wondering why your team is not doing as good and you're struggling, talk to that person, man. Humble yourself and talk to them and see if you can't get tips, shadow and stuff like that. I know I did. I know I got one in particular and they know who they are that I followed and shadowed and I got on their nerves to try to pick their brain because they're a great leader. I wanted them to succeed. I didn't try to talk negative about them. No, I didn't talk negative about anybody really. Now, I'm not saying I didn't have my moments where I did like co-sign and things like that. You're like, yeah, man, that person needs to, get themselves together. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm sitting here gossiping. You know what I'm saying? So I had to check myself. Not saying I never gossip because I had to check myself. Or never, allowed that to get into my head and maybe change my perception of somebody, but they had to, take that thought out and change it with another one and, and put that in its place. So, nobody's perfect, man. And I'm not saying that we're not going to ever deal with negative situations or never going to deal with gossip or want to be gossips or want to be negative in a situation because it's easier because that's what you feel. If you're mad and you don't agree with something and the whole, it's like herd mentality and everybody's mad about something. Of course, you're going to be with the herd because everybody's mad about it. You know what I'm saying? And you see what they're saying and you understand because you're mad too. So it's like, damn, I want to find people who are mad with me. You know what I'm saying? You want to find like-minded people with that. But what if we switch that to be like, I'm mad. This does sucks. This change is unnecessary, and we should really reevaluate it or revisit it. But you know what? It is what it is. At the end of the day, I got my health. I got a check. You know what I'm saying? When the economy's weird and things like that, and I'm making money, and granted, it could be more, but I know if I keep on doing this and rocking this out, I can get that bonus, I can get that money, I can get that pay increase, I can get that raise or that promotion that's going to put me in a better position, and to get with my finances in order and get more stature and more rapport and things like that. And it's going to help me to really, extend my reach in the organization, which is one of my goals. You see what I'm saying? So you start reaching your goals when it comes to being positive. So I'm trying to make this not as long as normal. So it's probably going to be 30 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, but I just want to share this. This is from like 2017, but I still think it bodes well. And I did look at some things when it came to being negative and some people who say there's benefits with that. I think it was Psychology Today was talking about the benefits of being negative when it comes to, being more apprehensive, being a realist more so than a pessimist, always saying things are going wrong. Like Eeyore was a pessimist. It's going to suck today. It's not going to be a good day. It's rainy. I don't know if he sounds like that. I can't remember exactly how he sounds. I just know he was depressed all the time, but not pessimistic, but realist. It can help us be more alert when it comes to scams and, not being as trusting when it comes to certain things and helping us be more guarded. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing because, we have been hurt before. We do deal with hurt and we have to process it a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that being guarded is not, is a bad thing. It could be a good thing, but when it's to a point where the wall is so high we can never get through it, you know what I'm saying, or it's keeping us back from our goals and reaching the things we're trying to do with our lives, that's when we have to really start chipping at that wall and taking it apart brick by brick and then seeing, okay, it is greener on that side, let me push through this negativity and onto that positivity side so I can really reach my goals. I can see them clearly because I don't have this brick wall of negativity and hate or self-doubt or stopping me from reaching my goals. But this is from WND WNDU.com. And doctors say that negative thinking can shorten our lifespan, man. Like, it can be a physical situation. It's mental, but it can also impact us physically. So I just want to read this real quick. We all know the negative thoughts aren't good for our mental health, but doctors say negative thinking can actually be harmful to our physical health too. Doctors believe negative attitudes and thoughts may predispose us to early aging by influencing our telomere, the tips at the end of our DNA that affect the aging process. So yeah, pessimistic thoughts as well as reliving past events over and over again can release stress. We know that. Some people deal with that PTSD or traumatic situation that we still deal with and relive, and certain triggers that cause that fight or flight or that anxiety or that panic attack and things like that. So it causes a physical change in us. Once you start noticing that and you start feeling yourself can't breathe or feel like everything's closing in and you're suffocating and your heart's beating fast and you're starting to sweat, those are signs to get out of there or do your reflection or your affirmations in your mind or counting backwards or what do you do to help hopefully it's safe and healthy things that maybe your therapist said can help with this positive thinking and positive reinforcement. You're good, you can handle this, and telling yourself that over and over again. Those are things that I did in my mind when I was experiencing the anxiety and panic attacks at work. I told myself over and over again, you could do this, you could deal with it, you've dealt with more, this is not a big situation and things like that. So and then sometimes I had to run I had to get out of there, go to my car, go to the bathroom and collect myself because it was that bad, and I had to breathe and I was hyperventilating, had to breathe in stalls and things like that, or in my car. So that's the thing, I'm sharing stuff that I've never really shared with people who don't know me, or don't know me in a personal way. But I'm doing it to help because I understand that people deal with real issues that I can't be positive all the time because all I see is negativity because how I was raised or, the trauma in my life, the things I've dealt with and, the past is still in my face, every day and the triggers and things like that. So it's hard for me to be positive and I totally get that. So I'm not really talking about that, but I'm talking about the things we can't control when it comes to the gossip and, the hate. And just because somebody says something about somebody doesn't mean it's true. Do your own research, fill them out for yourself. And now if, they cross you or something like that, or you have a negative experience with them, then come to them and tell them, talk to them. And hopefully that person can change because they had a heart to heart. Going back to my buddy and the supervisor, they did clear the air. They did know the situation hasn't been resolved and they're good now. But he had to come to him and talk to him. He ain't go above him and things like that. He told him that, what I'm saying. And then the supervisor, was like, yeah, I can see where I was wrong and things like that. So, kudos to them for resolving that issue, because conflict resolution is a part of leadership. Of course, people skills, social skills is a part of it, but conflict resolution is a big thing. And I dealt with a lot of different things go from number one team for almost 2 years to team where I had to rebuild and build up to get to number one. They were number one for a little bit, and then of course we had some issues and things like that, and it was fired up. It kind of reminded me of when I was in Iraq, and I probably end with this, and hopefully I can get it out before that time frame, 30 minutes, but. And I don't disclose a lot of what happened in Iraq, what I'm saying, even, with their therapists, I've been, through therapy and things like that. And I still are in apprehensive for sharing things because I don't really want to put myself back there. But the mission, being missional minded is possible. Even when you don't, have, same beliefs and things like that, we can still work as a team. We can still be missional, even if the person and still see the vision, even if we don't agree with the person or, person from a different background, different culture, and we don't really, understand them or anything like that, or, we can still work in harmony to meet the vision. Because if we're positive and we're, exercising positive thinking as a department, that's going to be how much, could we really do in society? How much can we really do and do, great things we can do and achieve as a department, as a business, as a corporation, as an organization, if we are missional minded and positive and push each other. Man, you could do this. Yeah, friendly competition. Yeah, I got you. I'm creeping up behind you. Fun, competition and friendly, healthy competition is good. When it was negative, this person sucks. They cheating the system. They doing this. They doing that. How they doing this and things like that, or what I'm saying, like I used to be great, I used to do this too, like this person's they're not good, whatever the case is. When we need to get that off the table, man, stop hating and do the work. But I was in Iraq, and when you're in Iraq, you do missions, and a lot of times it's with it's with multiple soldiers, so you're not just with a battle buddy or more soldiers, so you're not the only one doing the details sometimes. they may have you, but you have like, the locals, or some of the your allies help you with the detail. And this was one of those situations. I had an ally, I believe it was a Kurdish, I think, Kurd ally. And at this point, when we first went to Iraq, everybody loved us. It was like, America's great. And then like a couple months later, everybody hates America, F America, y'all suck, spitting in our direction. So imagine walking down the street, not knowing if somebody's going to try to kill you because, they don't like you and things like that, and mean mugging and stuff like that. And really tough situation to deal with, knowing that every day somebody was trying to kill you and you didn't know if you was going to make it and stuff like that. So really hard situation. Salute my brothers and sisters in arms who understand that, but and been through that. But it was a detail where they were laying asphalt down, and it was one of the locals and his manager, maybe a couple other people working with them, and all of a sudden the worker got off the bulldozer, stopped it, turned it off, and started going back and forth with his manager, start yelling at his manager, and I'm like, oh, what is going on? And at this point we're locked and cocked, ready to rock, but there's still rules of engagement. You just can't, if something popped off, you have to get the go ahead from your higher up and your, commanding officer or NCO in charge, to fire and engage the enemy, but, of course, I was ready for anything, man. I wasn't going to try to get blazed up. I had to deal with the consequences later on if that was the case, caught in a firefight. But I was ready, man. And because they were arguing, and then a whole crowd of people start, crowding over the situation. We had a fence around where we were at. It was in Mosul, Iraq. We had a fence around the perimeter around our station there. I believe the majority of it had a fence around the whole thing, so it kept the outside, people from coming in. So, which kept us protected, thankfully. But this situation, man, a whole bunch of people gathering, shaking the chains or shaking the fence, and someone was climbing up it and looking all crazy and shouting. And I didn't know what was going to happen, man. Of course, we could radio in and things like that if I needed to. So I I was like, I didn't know what to do, but all I heard was, and at that point, my life flashed before my eyes, man, because I heard, and I didn't know if somebody had a weapon, and thankfully I didn't react to the. Just even talking about it, it's getting me stuttering because I don't really want to relive the whole thing. But it came out positive. But it was the Kurd. It was our ally who was behind me. He came back with the AK-47, ready to rock, and he started clearing out the crowd. He didn't shoot. He was like talking in their local their native tongue, their language, and he calmed the situation down. He defused the situation. He dispersed the crowd, and I was just sitting there just with my weapon, like, okay, I'm watching you, man. I'm seeing I don't know what you're saying, but I'm watching you, you know what I'm saying? Because the mission was to complete the road, for pavement for us. We needed better roads and stuff like that within that perimeter. And that's what they were focused on, getting the asphalt and better roads. So that was the mission, and though me and the Kurd ally, they didn't have, we didn't talk the same language. He could speak English. It was a little bit broken, but he could speak English. But we come from different worlds. We come from different cultures. We come from different environments. But we understood the mission was to get that road completed. So he dispersed the crowd. Like I said, I'm sitting here sweating, like just kind of, man, do I need to call this in? Do I need to call this in? And kind of trying to figure out what I need to do. And thankfully, by the grace of God, everything, worked out. He dispersed the crowd, and he told me that the issue was a pay discrepancy. He wasn't getting paid like he needed to. So he wasn't going to finish the work until he got the money that was due to him, he said. Typical stuff that we have here in America too. You know what I'm saying? Like, people get mad about pay. They don't go all out and just stop working. Some people may be like on strike and stuff like that. We've seen strikes before. And sometimes it's warranted. A lot of times the strikes are warranted because they're getting ripped off and not getting paid what they're worth. You see what I'm saying? So, and they do need to get paid more. So I'm not saying it's not warranted, but yeah, he just stopped in the middle of the whole situation, like stopped the bulldozer, turned it, turned it off. It's like, yo, yeah, you gonna pay me. You know what I'm saying? You gonna pay me now? I ain't doing nothing. But I don't know why the crowd, like, it was like, more than 20 some people crowded that fence, start climbing and shaking. And I don't know why they did that. Like, but everybody came from across the street and they were shaking. Like, you have to be aware of your surroundings over there. Cause it was, the warfare was crazy because IEDs, things could, a trash bag could have been explosive and things like that. So you really have to be mindful of things and watchful and all the time on guard. all the time, 24/7. You're a soldier 24/7. They tell you that in basic, but you really see that when you're in a wartime situation, especially because you have to be on guard. They attack us any time of night. None of that. There was no schedule. There's like, yo, we're gonna attack them when they're at their most vulnerable or not paying attention. But we were ready. You know what I'm saying? So but yeah, he cleared it out, told me that discrepancy. I was like, man, I'm so glad he was here. And he laughed at that, so we had I told everybody later on, my sergeants and things like that, and a couple of my buddies in my unit, I told them about the situation. But man, now it was a lot of close ones over there. I divulged that story because it was one that I kind of processed and was like, man, it could have been bad, but thankfully, we made it out, you know what I'm saying? And there was a lot of those, and some people didn't, so, not to really change the mood, but, salute, you know what I'm saying? It's a hard job, you know what I'm saying? And for those who are still mourning the loss of loved ones from these wars, hearts go out, prayers go out. And, we understand the pain, and we dealt with some stuff too. So some losses. So, yeah, it's tough, but the mission didn't change. You see what I'm saying? Just because we from different backgrounds, different culture, the mission was to get it done. And so, we have to put our differences aside. If you don't like somebody for whatever reason, maybe it's time to clear the air. Or you really don't have to put yourself in a situation where you have to fool with them, but still focus on the team dynamic, still focus on, what you need to do to make it be successful. Because when you eat, everybody eats. You see what I'm saying? When the department is in a good light and the client sees that and the organization sees that and upper management sees that, they're like, okay, we can put some more money into that. Okay. You come up with this proposition of, having this in place and having them make more money and maybe weekly or monthly bonuses. You're coming with these propositions, the financial department can see that because you guys are doing great things. You're bringing more businesses to the company and the more profit into the company because you're closing these deals because of your work ethic, and they want to extend the contract because of what you've done. That's a win for everybody. So why not celebrate that together? I don't really have to like you to work with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't really have to like you to be cordial, and that's real. You see what I'm saying? And I understand that. Like I said, I'm not trying to paint a fake picture or a picture that's not real. I want to paint a real picture, a practical picture that we could all follow and believe in and get behind, which is, we're human. There's a lot of different things that go around with that. People were raised different. People, some people don't like to be touched and like to be looked at or like to be positive all the time. And that's fine, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have a right to be in that funk or miserable, stuff like that. But, I think you'll benefit more from being positive and coming to the positive side of the house, because you'll see that you'll flourish there. You'll see it's not all that bad. Oh, they got to be fake, because it's by the grace of God. You know what I'm saying? Because before God, I was trying to be a thug and all this stuff and, getting involved in gangs and drugs and all that stuff before God, So I was a negative person and more so on the negative side of things. But after, I start seeing things in a positive way. I'm like, I'd rather do that, because I spent my time being hateful and hating and, angry all the time and frustrated all the time. And that's not good for you. I don't like feeling that way. I still deal with certain things, what I'm saying, from that and from the war and things like that, I'm like, dang, man, and I need to get it together, when it comes to, temperament and things like that, and frustration and anger and things like that, man, and anxiety. So, it's a constant battle, and it's an intentional battle. It's intentional as far as us overcoming how we, and how we process things and how we react. It's all intentional, man. So you have to do it on purpose. You get that negativity, be like, I ain't trying to hear that, man. They ain't never do nothing to me. So it is what it is. Hopefully y'all can work it out. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm hearing your grievance. I'm not just pushing it to the side. That sucks that they did you like that. You should probably go talk to them and clear the air. Or, if you need to talk to somebody, upper management, you probably need to do that because they're not listening, or HR, you may need to go to them, or, because they're not listening, or, it's a toxic situation or a volatile situation to where you're not feeling comfortable. You do need to speak up about it. So still be a sounding board, still hear the concern and gripe, of course, and get that feedback, because that's what we need. Communication is important. That's the problem with a lot of teams and departments. The communication is lacking. And it's just like, I'm assuming that it's like this. I'm assuming you didn't like me. Why? Just because I don't really, go on my way to talk to you don't mean I don't like you. Just I don't know you. And, I'm not just going, I'm shy or I'm introverted. I'm not just going to put myself out there to meet new people because I'm just introverted. I'm not really a people person like that. And that's really kind of my temperament. You know what I'm saying? I had to push myself to be a people person. I had to push myself outside my comfort zone to go out my way to speak to everybody every day and be cordial and be jovial and positive, because it can be contagious too. People did gravitate to that. When we did the wave, when people were meeting metrics, or I was high fiving people, fist bumping people when they did great work, and we met our goals and things like that, and we made set records, or did things that nobody else did in the department. And we celebrated the wins. You know what I'm saying? We talked about the losses, and I did harp on them at first, but they corrected me and got me together. They was like, "Yo, you're being too hard, man. Like, we can never do anything right, and that's not a good place to be either. You don't want people to feel like they can't do anything right. Yes, you want them to be great. Yes, you want them to strive for excellence and keep being great, and they can do it. You want to build that confidence in them, of course. But if they feel like they push you too hard, you may need to let up on the gas, because just because you could take it doesn't mean they can. You know what I'm saying? And maybe they need to work their way up to get to that level, and that resilience, and build that hardness about them to get through that. I've been through war, so of course I see things differently, and I see that lens can come up with like, yo, what are you crying about this for? I could be hard because I dealt with hard things. You see what I'm saying? And I could be like, why are you crying, and be insensitive and not empathetic to their needs and things like that, and sympathetic. And we want to be that as leaders and in our personal life as people and human beings altogether. But hopefully you got some from this, man. We need to stop hating, man. Like, you'll be in a better, I promise you'll be in a better space if you try to focus on positivity and you stop looking at the negatives all the time. Be real, assess the threat, look at the challenge, and see, how you can overcome it. I'm not saying never acknowledge that it's there. Like, I see the negative. This is a negative situation, and I am worried about it. But what can we do to change it? Like, if I can't change it, then I have to give it to God. If I can't change it, then I have to look at it in a positive light. Like, yo, this is what I can control. This is what I can handle. This is what I can do. I have to leave the rest to God, or I have to leave the rest to, this situation to see if it works itself out. I can't do nothing about it. All I can do is what I can do. And that's what we need to focus on. And typically what you can do, it's in that positive realm. It's surrounded by that positive, like, this is what I can do with it. It gets you on that, that motion of moving forward, that trajectory to, go and reach your goals. And it puts you on that path to reach your goals and start, moving forward and transitioning into a place where you want to be, which is positivity, a clear mind, peace of mind, and contentment. So hopefully you got something from this. Like I said, it was, from a place of, righteous indignation, if you will. I was, kind of upset about hearing about my friend's situation, and knowing that does happen often in the workplace, and reading different things about the workplace and how bosses are treating people, acting like they're, superior. You may be the superior of them because of the position and the title, but you're not superior to them because they're humans just like you, and you're flawed just like them. You see what I'm saying? Nobody's perfect, man. So yes, operate at a high level. Yes, take excuses off the table the best you can often, because that's what's going to get you to your goals. Taking excuses off the table. But, pace yourself in that, but understand where people are coming from and be empathetic and put yourself in their shoes and understand how they're seeing things. Because once we do that, we can understand, like, okay, I get why, the stats ain't what they, need to be right now. I get why they're upset. They feel like they've been bamboozled. They feel like they didn't get a fair shake at the situation. They feel like they're not getting paid what they're supposed to be paid. And, or they didn't understand the job fully, or, wasn't explained to them. Now they're throwing something else, or we're throwing something else in there, and that can affect you, like my whole approval rating, my first half of my leadership career was like 85, 95%. It was in that range, but towards the end, and during COVID and the pandemic, when things were crazy and we work from home, and how the systems were always going down, and I think some of that was deflection from that, but it could have been just me too, because I was frustrated as well. I got like the lowest rating like I've ever got, and I'm like, man, that cut me deep, because I think it was like what 50%, 40%. It was bad. I was like, man, am I sucking that bad? Have I lost my gusto? Have I lost, my ability to lead? Like, am I really that terrible? And maybe that's what they perceive, man. Like, it was tough. It was tough times to adjust to that, because we were all over the place, and it was hard to really spend time with people, and really mentor them and really build them up like I did when I first came up. We had time to really build, and I had time to build that rapport. Work from home, it was hard to do that. You could do it somewhat with Zoom, but you get pulled away from different things, and you're constantly putting out fires. So that time was really, challenging and chaotic, and it really put us in a situation where, you know, we had to, you know, really reassess. But we did. We overcame, and department, hopefully they're doing good. They were doing good before I left, so that gave me, confidence, and it gave me comfort to be like, okay, I can, you know, leave. You know, this is because this was my baby. You know, I helped start the program, so I can leave, knowing it's going to be okay. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't going to leave before that, you know. And yes, in that time frame, I did what I needed to do to transition. You know what I'm saying, to leave and pay off debt and bills, and, you know, set ourselves up to be, you know, to where our income is above our debt or our expenses. So that's where you want to be. But that's a conversation for another day. But I always throw that in there because that's so important. But yeah, they're doing good. Hopefully they're still doing good. They were still growing and had leaders, you know, in place. And I was, you know, training other leaders and, to do the job. And, so I feel like I left it in a good place. Hopefully I did. I don't know. I know I was challenged. I know, I had to keep from checking out, which I did sometimes throughout that year and a half, or year and almost 2 year situation where I was about to leave the job. But yeah, so hopefully, and my manager, she never really was like, oh, you need to get it together. It was more so like, yeah, I see your challenge. I could tell that, hopefully, you're still with us and things like that. I could tell. And I was kind of like, hopefully you're not checked out. I was like, yeah, I can see that I'm struggling to keep my focus because I'm checking out, and I don't want to do that. So I had to bring myself back and had to constantly encourage myself, constantly speak to myself like, yo, you can do this. You can make it. You only got this much left. And, but you're not going to leave until you know it's right, so, and it's where it needs to be. And that's what happened. So, but yeah, shout them out, man. Like, hopefully they're doing well, but stop the hate, stop hating and do the work, because when you do that, it just helps you get focused, man. You want to laser in, hone in on your goals and what you're trying to accomplish, and you'll see you start accomplishing, man. So who cares if people hate on you, and don't like you because you're doing good and you're successful and you're, getting promoted and things like that. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I did to get here. I know the hard work and the sacrifice it took for me to get here, and dedication it took for me to get here. Now, I ain't brown nose my way here. I put in the work. I did the dedication. I sacrificed. They needed me to do something. I did it because I knew that's what it was going to take. But I still spoke my mind. If I didn't agree with nothing, I was just like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I did speak my mind when I didn't agree with it, but I wasn't like a negative person. I wasn't like, oh, here we go again with this stuff. I did it tactfully. I did it to a way, I gave a suggestion along with the issue. Like, this could be an issue. This is an issue, not really understanding why we're doing this. Maybe we could do it this way and look to implement this. So, and me being like that helped us, do certain things and correct certain issues that, we didn't see at first. You see what I'm saying? Or that may have been overlooked. So, you want to be, vocal about things that you don't agree with, of course. And you should have that dialogue. A healthy team has that dialogue, even if it's challenging to have. You have a dialogue to where it's challenging and it doesn't feel good because it's like, it's negative, but really, it's a real concern. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be addressed. And how can we best address it now? If we can't address it now, then, hey, it's going to get better eventually. And it did. You see what I'm saying? So, and it typically does. If management is willing to listen and do what they need to do to implement the changes. So, but hopefully you got something from this podcast episode. I thank you for watching. We got listeners in different parts of the world now. So this was just a venture to see, what I'm saying, if I could share some of my insight and see how things, went, or, it wasn't really like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna start a podcast and, it's going to be the biggest thing ever. No, I mean, it's just, I believe in it, because I've been through some things and I believe I could share some things and hopefully it can help people. That's my intention with this thing, but I'm thankful, people are listening and people are watching on YouTube and things like that. And, checking out the social media of Not Your Average Boss or the website of notyouraverageboss.com and, and benefiting from it. We're getting traffic every day now. So, man, I'm blessed and fortunate, man. I'm thankful for you, and I can't do this without you, or, what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if I didn't have some type of audience, I probably would still do this. I did in the first, when I first started up, but there are people listening, and I thank you for those who are listening and that support the podcast and Not Your Average Boss. But yeah, till next time, keep being great. Look for ways you can, impact somebody's life in a positive way, and check off your goals, man. Let's start doing that. Let's start checking off your goals. Don't make no excuses. It's hard, yes. It's frustrating, yes. It can be discouraging, yes, and it can be uncomfortable because, like I said, I'm not really a people person. I don't like being in front of the camera. I'd rather be behind the camera, but I feel like I need to do this, especially when I have something to say. So, but once again, thanks for watching. Not Your Average Boss. I don't know. Peace. Proud veteran homeowner, man. We'll talk about that too at another time. Visit our resources and get in touch page for more tools to help you on your leadership and life journey. Listen to Not Your Average Boss podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Thank you for listening.